Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Inside the Dam podcast. If you can recall from earlier, we just went live with the B- podcast. And so, busy day here in the MSU broadcasting department for KMSU TV and radio. Just want to remind you guys, Inside the Dam is brought to you by Papa John's, where you can get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99. That is the MSU special. So if you show a valid MSU ID, you go to Papa John's, you can get yourself that sweet deal there. We thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for sponsoring the Inside the Dam podcast. I'm your host, Cole Clementich, here for episode 13. Guys, this is going to be the ACHA National Tournament preview show, and we have a great show on deck. A couple of the hockey coaches are here to speak with us, as well as an NSIC champion. So be sure to stay tuned for that later on. But kicking us off here, we are joined by the head women's hockey coach to discuss kind of a recap a little bit of the season and preview what's ahead for the MSU Lady Beavers. Ryan Miner joins us. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Cole. Thanks for having me tonight.
Yes, we're very lucky, as always, to have you and everyone else here on board. So thank you for making the time. So I want to start here. Top 5 consistent ranking for the whole season. You know what? I know rankings don't mean much for going into, like, during the NSIC, or not the NSIC, the ACHA National Tournament. You know, obviously that is a big accomplishment, but, you know, what does that mean for you guys in particular?
Well, I think the big thing is always trying to prove ourselves and our worth, right? We've shown consistently over the last 3-4 years that we are a top team in the ACHA Women's Division I level. At the same time, too, you know, fighting for those spots to qualify for a national tournament. Top 10 teams go, so obviously making sure that we are kind of in that category is always a goal at the start of the year. At the same time, too, just winning games and having success has kind of put us where we're at.
You know, and since then, it's been nothing but, great results, a great output from you guys. It was previewed before the season started that this would be your toughest schedule ever as a club. Finished 21-10-2, pretty darn good finish, proving that you guys can handle the big matchups.
Yeah, obviously, like you just said, one of the toughest schedules we've had so far in my history of coaching this team. I think the big thing is that, there were more losses this season than you'd normally probably see out of our program, but we didn't play anyone outside of the top 14 this year. When we were scheduling over the summer, we had to kind of make that decision of what route we wanted to go, whether we wanted to push ourselves every weekend or, have those games where, it might be a little easier. And, it was a bit hesitant at first because, one weekend we'd be playing the number 1 team and then the following weekend we'd be playing the number 4 team, right? So there was a consistent competitiveness, but I think at the end of the day, it's what has prepared us for this upcoming national tournament.
And you talk about consistent competitiveness. I think that is definitely something that you guys can most certainly use in your back pockets heading into the ACHA National Tournament, when scheduling games like these. I mean, you guys, you weren't afraid of, what was going to be coming your way, and, just kind of expand on, how that has been able to help you guys out more.
Yeah, so again, every team outside of ASU and Miami we've seen this year. So, I mean, with that, we know what to expect going into this tournament. Obviously, we're facing Miami first round, and then we'll go from there. But we know what type of level we're going to see. We know what we need to do in order to compete. And at the same time, too, being a game-by-game basis, we're going to adjust our systems and our game plan based off of who we're playing. So the nice part is, having already played most of these teams, we kind of know, like I said, what to expect and how we're going to move forward with that.
Yeah, and it's going to be electric, this tournament coming up. But talk about this past season, some of the accomplishments, some of the moments, what stood out to you from this past hockey season at the Mesa and also on the road?
Well, yeah, of course. Obviously, I think biggest moment so far was getting that first ever victory against Liberty on the road. That was a grind of a weekend, 3 games in 3 days. Obviously, it was a great weekend in terms of competition. We just couldn't get it done those first 2, and to see the team pull it together in that third game after being exhausted and playing 2 games was something spectacular. So a big moment like that definitely put us on the right track. Like you said in the beginning, like top 3 team, something that we've always strived for. So obviously goals that we are proud of and something that we will remember for the rest of our lives, but at the same time the ultimate goals coming up here in just over a week, right? So everything we've done so far has been in preparation of the national tournament, and I think that with what we've accomplished will only point us in the right direction as we head to Boston.
No, looking forward to that, certainly. And all the grit and the fight that this team showed a lot during the season was, quite frankly, happening a lot of the times every weekend. And this season also saw the installment of the University of Jamestown. Talk about that brand new. Obviously, on the men's side, it's a big rivalry there on the Division I level. But for the Division I women's level, talk about the new, I guess, renewed, maybe not rivalry, but a brand new team with Jamestown. What's that been like seeing them for the first time?
Yeah, no, of course. I'd call it a rivalry. I mean, we played them 8 times.
A new rivalry,
we played them 8 times this year and then a 9th time at conference tournament, right? So obviously it's great having a second team at our level in North Dakota. One, it builds that competitiveness, and, seeing them a lot, it gets gritty. I mean, I think most of our penalty minutes were against each other this season just because of how hard and, the competition level at the same time, too. Obviously, not having to travel as far for most games was definitely a nice added bonus to that. And, so I think being a brand new team, you're always questioning what type of program's going to step on the ice when you play them. And their coach did a great job recruiting that year before, and they finished number 11 in the country as a first-year program. So kind of like the men, I'm excited for years to come where there's going to be a consistent battle every game where obviously we got all 9 under our belt this year, but they're going to continue to get better, and you're always going to see a good game when we face each other.
I agree. Without a doubt, it's going to be, like you said, a long-standing rivalry for years to come. And talk about, this transition between the regular season and now national tournament. What do practices look like for the players and most specifically for you guys, the coaching staff as well?
Yeah, of course. So we've definitely slowed things down here over the last week or so since we've gotten back from the conference tournament. We've taken a couple days off, and now we're back on the ice preparing. I think the big thing is we're really not trying to change much. We're just, my assistant coach, Rachel, and I have kind of went through kind of 3 or 4 small areas that we need to clean up and really focusing on those. So rather than just trying to change the whole scheme of things, not winning at conference tournament, right, we're just looking at what we can improve on to only help us be better. So, most of the year we were on the ice an hour and a half. We're only going an hour now. A lot of the time is more so going through different systems and different ideas of what works and what doesn't. So a lot more conversations versus just running through drills. And then so having those conversations and then seeing those drills go live and executing them. So, we're not trying to overbear them. We want to make sure they're in the right headspace going into the national tournament. We want to make sure they're still enjoying themselves so that we can put the best team on the ice when we get to Boston.
Exactly. And now for the big one here, previewing the ACHA National Tournament ahead coming up in Boston. Of course, you touched on it a lot here, but like you said, getting the girls ready, right mindset, and kind of preview this first matchup against Miami. Were you able to kind of scout them a little bit and kind of see some strengths or flaws and just kind of what does this matchup bring for you guys?
Yeah, so we haven't seen Miami since probably the 2020-2019 season, so it's been a few years since we played them. Obviously, they were they're a top 10 team in the country, but they were a top 4 team in their conference out in Michigan. I think the biggest thing, probably in comparison, doing our scouting reports, is they're fairly similar to Jamestown in that sense of they work hard, they grind, and they look for those opportunities on turnovers to make things happen in terms of offense. And on the back end, they have a very strong goaltender who will see 60 shots and allow less than 3 goals. So I think the big thing is obviously getting pucks on the net, making sure that we're crashing the net, and making sure that goalie doesn't gain any confidence early so that she kind of stands on her head. So we kind of got to break that early. And, looking at a team like that and anyone we play, right, obviously we can prepare based off of their positive and assets that they have, but I think, like I said before, fine-tuning our game and making sure that we're playing the systems and the game plan that we're supposed to run will ultimately benefit us no matter who we play.
Awesome. Well, that is all we have for this segment. Coach, thank you so much. And anything else you want to mention real quickly?
No, just obviously we appreciate the support of the school and the community, and obviously we're looking forward to this trip to Boston, and hopefully the plan is to bring home a title, and we can't wait to see if we can do that and have the community watching and supporting us. So thank you.
Go get some Boston cream pie as well.
Oh, for sure.
Yep. Well, you guys definitely have a great squad on hand. Wishing you the best of luck in your guys' quest for a national championship back here to Minot. So, good luck in Boston.
Thank you, Cole.
And there you have it, folks. The first segment done. You just heard head coach Ryan Miner of the women's hockey team previewing the ACHA National Tournament coming up, as mentioned, in Boston, Massachusetts, and also kind of recapping the regular season as well. Before we get going here, folks, moving on, just want to remind you again, Papa John's has an MSU special. You can get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99 if you show a valid MSU ID. As always, we want to thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for sponsoring the Inside the Dam podcast. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back after a quick break. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast, installing a brand new commercial there. And we just want to make use of our wonderful resources we have here in the department. And, of course, shout out to Lee Johnson, our technician, being able to help out with the live stream on occasion if it does go down, if anything, has any technical issues. I see the stream's current bitrate is getting low. So, guys, I do apologize in advance if the stream is kind of freezing on your end there, but I got a audio file on backup where we're actually recording one at this time, but hopefully that clears everything out. And like I mentioned, again, Papa John's is the sponsor of the Inside the Dam podcast. Get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99 if you show a valid MSU ID. That is the MSU special that Admir and the Papa John's crew offer up there. We thank them for their sponsorship. As promised, we were talking with Coach Miner earlier. This is the ACHA National Tournament preview show, kind of, and we have the other hockey coach on deck for us. Wyatt Waselenchuk, the head men's hockey coach, is here to talk or to preview the national tournament for the men's side and also kind of recap the regular season a little bit. And I guess you guys also have a home game left this week, I suppose.
Yeah, we're pretty excited to get back on the ice in some competition form against Jamestown here and head there on Wednesday. And then, one more home game here for our seniors on Thursday night. And then off to Boston for the big dance next week.
Awesome. So, just kind of preview the upcoming week ahead. It's going to be emotional for the seniors, I guess, for the whole team as well, because, you guys still have a lot of unfinished business left, but, just kind of preview these upcoming games here this week, any sort of tune-ups or last-minute tune-ups or any just kind of talk how you keep the guys focused and play well and play hot before the big dance.
Yeah, certainly. It's it's a weird couple of games, right? Obviously, you want to always go out and playing against an in-state rival. You want to always show well and win those games, but it's a fine line with, keeping everybody healthy going into the national tournament. And I think it's going to be a real systematic approach. Good opportunity for us to work on our power play and our penalty kill. Obviously, against Jamestown, we'll probably have to go to battle with that a lot. And last kind of showing for two great goalies that we have, and kind of picking and choosing who's going to start game one for us at Nationals. And I think it's just going to be a good time for us to kind of get our feet back underneath us after a weekend off. And last year, heading into that game against Ohio, we had over 2 weeks off. So I thought this year would be a little different approach to it and try and play a couple before a little closer to that first game at Nationals.
And we were just talking with Coach Miner, the Minot State Jamestown rivalry in club hockey at the ACHA Division I level. And Jamestown, they're no slouch. They can give you guys definitely some fits there. And so how do you kind of view this game? How do you approach it? Does it help the guys to kind of play, a team that is, pretty physical and plays tight and, just kind of talk a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, they're good. They're a top 10 team. I think they're going into Nationals 7 or 8. And, I mean, they're as good as anybody. They work as hard as anyone. They're extremely well coached. And they have a couple real good goaltenders over there. So by no means is it show up in Jamestown and just pick up your 2 points. It doesn't matter if it's an exhibition game in March. It's a rivalry game, and it's one that we take seriously. And like I said, obviously when we get back to Minot on Thursday night, it's going to be a big one for our seniors. We have a unbelievable class. It's hard for me to even begin to describe what those young men mean to me and have meant to our program. And obviously we want to send them off in the right way with their last game at the Mesa Arena here. So they're big games. You know what? Anytime we step on the ice, we do it with a purpose, and we're going to be ready to go.
For sure. And before we get into the national tournament talk here, you guys have been ranked first the whole season in the power rankings. That tells a lot about the type of group that you guys have. What has that meant for you as a coach?
You know what? You don't take too much stock in it, obviously, but in the same breath, like, you want to be at the top of the heap. You want to get to the national tournament, and there are some logistical things that are nice for you. You have a little later game time that's more normal instead of playing at 11 o'clock in the morning. Your practice time is a little better. You have a little bit more time to prepare, and that routine is so important. When you can get there and play a game at 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, like a normal game, everything flows a little better because we've gotten to that tournament. You got an 11 a.m. start, and you're panicking, and so little things like that are nice. But in the same breath, it's the same game, right? Same sheet ice, same puck, same net, and you got to get out there and perform. But I think that on the flip side, everybody wants to beat you, right? Everybody wants to take down the number one team, and there's 8 teams that could be ranked number one. I mean, you flip a coin on a few of those weekends where we squeaked one out against Liberty and had a good split with Ohio, and there's a lot of deserving teams this year, and I do think it's anyone's tournament. I love our team, but you know what? We got to show up and we got to play hard and do things the right way, because I've gone back to last year way more than I probably ever would, but you have to use that as a learning lesson, and we have so many guys in that locker room that experienced that last season that you have to prepare differently, and you have to have that mindset that game 1 is going to be as tough as game 4, and you just gotta push through the first shift, push through the first period, as cliche as that sounds, and just be ready to go.
Yeah, and it's like you said, I mean, Minot State's been fortunate enough to have that first ranking for the whole season, or for a majority of the whole season. And like you said, a lot of teams in the field just got to get the job done. But kind of recapping, going back to this regular season, we asked Coach Miner, talk about some of the, any notable accomplishments or moments from this past season. What stood out to you?
I just love our team, just the chemistry. We've always had real tight-knit groups here, and going back to when I was a player a long, long time ago now, to today, I think that every year it's just gotten, depth has gotten a lot better and stronger, and this year we have such a tight-knit group. Our freshmen, obviously, not only are they producing on the ice, but we brought in such a great class of young men, and they've fit right in, and everybody just meshes so well, and you can see it as a coach. I've said this on 3 or 4 interviews this year. I have a pretty darn easy job. From my captains down, they set the tone and they understand what it takes. I mean, we're very experienced, obviously, and those guys have been through it before. So, but in terms of accomplishments, it's nice to be where we're at all season long. I mean, realistically, ranking-wise, we couldn't have done any better. Is there a game probably that we let slip. Yeah, probably one or two. But again, we lost 2 games at our level. But we did a lot of good things. I've liked our consistency, but I've liked the hunger to get better. I had a real good chat with Carter Barley and Davis Sheldon, my captains today, and Connor Navrat and Drew Carter, and they're hungry in practice. And I'm a very approachable coach, as anyone will tell you, and those guys are we're super tight. And even today they're saying we got to go harder, we got to work harder, we got to be more physical in practice. And like, you can't teach that as a coach. You got that, and when that's coming from your leaders, that stuff is contagious, and that's the stuff that I'm most proud of. It's nothing that I've instilled in these guys. It's it's the demand that we expect in that locker room. And at the end of the day, we haven't accomplished anything. Again, we'll go back to last year. We went in and it's 2-0 before you blink, and our season's over. So I'm not one to really get nervous, but I'm already feeling it a little bit heading into that tournament. But I think that that's a good thing. Is maybe last year we were all a little bit too confident, a little too comfortable, and some nerves are not a bad thing.
Yeah, and like you said, the best of the best, and that leadership quality, it is very hard to teach on players. And yeah, definitely want to start off on the right foot. Mm-hmm. With that being said, now we go into previewing the big dance, the ACHA National Tournament taking place in Boston. And you guys have a little bit of a bye week scenario. So how will you guys kind of observe kind of the first day or the first few looks of the tournament here?
Well, I think it's just kind of getting acclimated, getting there. Obviously, we're fortunate enough to fly. So getting in there a few days early and just being able to get comfortable in the hotel and get a couple workouts in and things like that. We're going to skate, obviously, when we touch down, and just kind of get familiar. I think that that's real important, and probably go check the rink out and just kind of take in the sights. It's going to be 6 different divisions going on at the same time, and so it's going to be a sight to behold for sure. So I think just staying away from it in the same breath, like not worrying about what anybody else is doing, getting together in the hotel and enjoying some meals together, and that's what it's all about, right?
And team bonding.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, is enjoying that time together and having some fun together. And like I said, our group is so tight. It's so fun to just watch those guys do what they do, as dumb as they are some days. And, you know what? That's what it's all about. And when you do things the right way and you believe in each other off the ice, the stuff on the ice seems to take care of itself. It's funny how that works. The tighter the team is, the easier it becomes on the ice. And this is as tight a team top to bottom as I've seen, and that's not to downplay any of these phenomenal teams we've had here over the last 10 years, but there's no outcasts. There's nobody that isn't doing it for hanging a banner. Doesn't matter if you're a first line guy playing third line minutes. Everybody's got a role, everybody's doing their job, and everybody wants to win. And so that's what it's going to be all about, is just getting there and getting comfortable, and it's all about us. Doesn't matter who we're playing, doesn't matter when that game is. It's all about us and taking care of business.
Absolutely. And real quickly here, Coach, obviously not knowing the first round opponent, again, talking about that bye week scenario, but just simply put, how do you get the guys prepared and ready to go on the right mindset?
Well, lots of video. We've really emphasized doing, just like me as a person and me as a goalie, I was very, very regimented in everything I did. And I think we kind of bounced back and forth a little bit last year, a little bit of video, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, just kind of changing it up. This year it's been like set our goals on Monday, talk about them, practice them Tuesday, Wednesday, go over our power play on Thursday, video Thursday night. Every week has been the same. Doesn't matter who we're playing, how many games, set the goals for one another, or for each opponent, and stick to that routine. So it's going to be the same thing. You know what? We stick with what's worked for us. And Coach David and Jared and myself this week will have a lot of video to watch between, Lawrence Tech or Michigan Dearborn. And whichever video we're going to play on Thursday night will be the one. But, just preparing these guys and knowing that ranking doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything at all. It's going to be the team that wants it more. It's going to be the team that works that much harder. And both those teams are darn good teams. they've got very good records, and they're there for a reason. And it won't be easy by any means, but that's also a good thing for us. I think that all those ones that we've gotten to that final or we've been fortunate enough to win, it was a tough path. So just preparing the guys as best we can through some video and in the same breath, sticking to what we've done all year.
You guys definitely have a great squad to bring back another banner this year. And Coach, we wish you the best of luck in that quest for another ACHA national championship. Thank you for your time today, and like I said, good luck in Boston.
Yeah, thank you, Cole.
Yeah.
I just from myself and our team and everybody in Minot, I can't tell you how fun it's been to see you grow and just seeing all this stuff that you do for the sports community in Minot. And I truly mean that on behalf of a lot of people. It's I don't know. I think I spend a lot of time at the rink. I can't imagine the hours that you've put in, and then you had a basketball court and a football field and whatever else. So we really appreciate you, Cole, and we wish you all the best here moving forward. And we're so thankful for you.
No, appreciate it. Yeah, we'll definitely take that, and always appreciate the kind words, and all the hard work around for the KMSU students as well. They couldn't have done it without them. So, want to give a shout out to them as well. But fortunately, we are out of time, Coach, but thank you for joining in on the action. There you have it there, folks, with the second segment. That was Wyatt Waselenchuk, the head men's hockey coach, recapping the regular season with a few more left to trickle in here, but also previewing the ACHA National Tournament on the men's bracket. When we come back, folks, we have an NSIC champion to talk to from the track and field squad. Before we get into that, just want to remind you about Papa John's. They sponsor the Inside the Dam podcast. With a valid MSU ID, you show it to Admir and the gang over there. You can get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99. That is their MSU special. Again, thank you to Papa John's for sponsoring the Inside the Dam podcast. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here, folks, with our next guest. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast, brought to you by Papa John's. Again, you can get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99 if you show a valid MSU ID. That is the Minot State special that they have going on. And as always, if you show that to Admir, you can get yourself all locked in with a wonderful, delicious, large 2-topping pizza there from Papa John's. As always, we want to thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for sponsoring the Inside the Dam podcast. Like I promised, guys, we have an NSIC champion to talk to with us from the track and field team. Chase Snyder joins us. Chase, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, Chase. So, it's just to be an NSIC champion, like that's got to be, at a loss for words. What? It's in the shot put, right? The shot put in for the NSIC, getting into the final rounds and ultimately getting it done. Just talk about that moment when it first happened for you.
Well, when we first were throwing at the thing, I popped a throw of, I think it was 1592 meters, which is 52 feet, I think close to 10 some inches. And I threw that, and my dad was over there helping me out a little bit, and he was saying, that's not going to make it. If you got to throw further than that if you want to actually win the throw. So I kept pushing it, and I got into finals, and I was still in first, and I was like, I got to hit one, because I was using a new technique a little bit called reversing, and it's to help you. So when you throw it out the front, your left foot goes back and your right foot goes forward, so that you don't scratch the throw, because you got your toe board up there, and if you go over top of it, the throw doesn't count. So I was trying not to do that, and I kept going back to some old habits where I kept picking up my back leg, and that just completely ruins your power. You lose all of it when you go out the front. So I was throwing, and I was thinking, just these aren't it. As soon as after I hit that first one, I just got too jacked up and too excited. And so then when we were going into the last throws, and so I think it was the Mankato kid. He threw a 1582, which is 10 centimeters behind me, and he threw that, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm right after him. And my coach is over there, Coach Schultz, and he's like, you did it. You won, because he was the only person you had, and you won. So I was like, damn. I was like, wow, that's impressive. So then I just threw it out there, and I felt it as soon as I hit the throw. Like, that's not it, but I was like, I won. I wanted to try to get one last good throw, hopefully break that 16, 18. Hopefully, I wanted to try to break the all-time school record instead of just having the current Division II one. But so yeah, I was still not entirely real, just kind of.
Yeah, show off the medal, by the way.
Well,
that unfortunately, this is the camera's right here, but unfortunately, this is the furthest I can zoom in. But yeah, if you just kind of want to show it up closer to the camera. Oh,
hand it over to them.
Yeah, we'll show it a little bit here, guys. Oh, there we go. So yeah, the NSIC champion, first place in the shot put. Dude, that is so awesome. Hey, show it off, man. Yeah, wear it with pride. So. Yeah, there's just a little bit of the hardware that he has on hand with us tonight, but yeah, that's always got to be a good feeling, once you win something or you clinch something, and it's just really talk more about the feeling. Like how amazing was that moment?
It was, like I said, it still doesn't even feel entirely real. Just like I see it, but I haven't let it fully sink in.
Yep.
My indoor goal, my starter goal, I finished that. I just did it, and I was like, I just checked it off my little box thing in my planner that says, "What are your goals for the year?" And that was one of them. So, yeah, I'd say it feels what's the word? It feels good just to be able to know that all the stuff you worked for, the stuff I strived for, the stuff I suffered for, I dealt with a lot of hardships in the first year and then partially through this year, but I just kept pushing through it, and I got here. I did my goal, and I proved all the haters wrong, basically.
And you're doing this as a sophomore, and you mentioned all the records being the D2 records being broken, and quite frankly, that's what really stands out to me is a lot of these records just keep going down and down and down, or yeah, I guess new records being made, being broken, sort of that. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, just talk about as a whole, as a group, even not just the shot put, but all the runners, the javelin throwers, and the pole vaulters. Talk about the mentality of this group. How do they put it all together, and how do they really perform at that high of a level?
Well, it's basically just a drive. You got to have it. If you don't want it enough, you're not going to get it. You got to be able to push through the pain. Then there's plenty of days where you got to get up at. I know the distance guys. They're always in there nowadays at 6 a.m. in the morning, and I remember what that was like last year, and I hated it. And so I imagine running, several miles, they probably hate it too. And yeah, it's just that you just gotta keep it going. If you don't, you're not going to be able to get your goals, basically.
Man, it's just looking at that medal. Thank you for letting us share that with the audience, by the way, the medal, the first place medal. But yeah, going into the meet, what were you kind of for the NSIC championship meet? What kind of expectations did you feel you thought were fair for yourself, or just kind of what was going through your head going into that event?
Well, for myself personally, it was I wanted to win. I knew I could if I put myself to it, if I just did what I knew I could do, and yeah, that's kind of it. Just going in with the feeling that even though maybe on the day I didn't feel the best, or I got myself psyched out. I'm like, oh, I don't belong here because there's all these seniors and juniors that are throwing, and no, just thinking to myself, you know what, you earned it, you got here, you're coming in third best. If you can't, you just got to throw your best, and you're going to do your best.
Oh yeah, for sure. Have that mindset that you can do it. I mean, no matter what level you're at, and yeah, quite frankly, there's some really standout runners and field events, or some of the participants in the field that have really stood out in their first year. What has been working, someone like a Summer Krebsbach, or any other, some of the older veterans on the team. Just talk about the combination, the mix. How do you guys gel as a team?
There's a lot of growing pains. We're the new guys and the guys who've been there maybe a year but are still acclimating with everybody. Especially now, we're a very young team now. I think freshmen and sophomores. I think freshmen might be the dominant like age group in the entire
Wow.
group. I think we're only graduating maybe 5 or 6 people this year, but there are good runners and are good sprinters, and then Leif with the jav. So
Oh yeah, Leif Nelson as well. He's been pretty dominant too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just it's a matter of just being able to overlook some things that might annoy you about someone because they're younger, and just letting each other push you so that you can become better. Because sometimes, the younger guy comes up and he's better than everybody else, but if you just focus on the fact that he's better than you and not the fact to chase that, to say, I can also be better, I just need someone to push me, and this is the person that pushes me, then if you don't do that, you're just going to get left behind. But if you do that, you're going to go far.
And I feel like track and field, cross country recruiting it's kind of a weird concept almost. I mentioned Summer Krebsbach because she is one of the incoming freshmen. She is from the area, so I do have a little bit of familiarity. I do recognize the name in some of the Class B tournaments going on, which I should mention later on in the show. A little bit more about that, but some foreshadowing for you there, folks. But I feel like recruiting track and field, not to downplay the coaches, but I feel like it's kind of a weird concept. Like, you get some of these freshmen and then they're just dominant right away, and then you're here already winning medals as a sophomore. Like, how does that? Maybe you probably don't know much behind the scenes, but just talk about like being recruited and what kind of things did the coaches talk to you about when you were getting recruited?
So we have almost an entirely new coaching staff this year. So the coaches, Tanner Gus was who recruited me, and so I don't know exactly what Coach Schultz, Coach Swift, Coach Ashley and Gerard are doing for their stuff, or Coach Sarah. So the only thing and most of the people here are, except for barring the distance, were recruited by the previous coaching staff, I believe. I'm not entirely sure on that. But could you repeat the question again?
That's fine. Yeah, just kind of talk through it. Maybe easier to put it this way, because it is a new coaching staff. What are some things that they try and tell you guys that, hey, come here, or if you've heard of any stuff behind the scenes, like if they tried, maybe if you've seen some of the potential student athletes or recruits that visit campus, what are some things that you hear them say a lot? Maybe
I haven't seen a lot of them, mostly just because if they are there, they're at different times than what we are, because you got to schedule in your practices so that the coaches are there, and then they have to also make sure that the coaches and the other student athletes can take the new recruit around campus and help them to understand kind of what life's like on MSU. Mm-hmm. So I can't really speak to that too much. I remember last year we'd meet with some of the new recruits before they came here if they got to that point where they're making a visit. And I'm assuming they're probably doing that a little bit too, but I'm pretty sure it's some of their first times doing this, so they're still, growing pains. You got to figure stuff like that out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'll be honest, I love the stuff you guys do on social media. Like, you'll post so athletics will make the recruitment posts, like welcoming this name. We won't mention any names because they're not officially on campus yet, but they'll do like the welcome to MSU cross country, track and field, whatever. I really like the videos that you guys do, of some, like one of the runners going over the hurdles, or like the, I don't know, you name it. Like, they do a lot of welcome to MSU recruiting videos like that. I think that's really cool. So props to you guys. But moving away from the track and field events, talk about a little bit of your classroom life. We were kind of discussing before the podcast, you're on the esports team.
I'm not on the esports team.
Oh,
that was Blake.
Oh, that was Blake. Okay,
yeah.
And that's my fault. So your friend of yours on the esports team. Talk about some of your campus life. Like, talk about some interests that you have and major and all that sort of thing.
Well, interests. Personal interests are writing and that kind of stuff. I enjoy reading books and things like that. Campus, my first year here, I really struggled. Specifically first semester, I didn't do well, and I largely chalked that up to just not quite getting all the stuff I was supposed to do, to like planning. like getting a planner was the biggest thing I probably changed in my entire thing, which definitely helped me the second semester. And then just trying to make more friends, that definitely also helps because it makes you feel more belonged. For majors, I'm business administration, so
nice.
I pretty much stay in Old Main the entire time. I think I have
Yep.
I have one class here, and it's history of pop and rock.
Oh, really cool. Yeah, I think I've heard that class before. And yeah, I do remember. Yeah, we were discussing pre-podcast that your business and administration kind of slipped my head a little bit. But yeah, talk about, some of the things that you learn every day in the classroom, and, what are some goals that maybe you hope to achieve, I guess, in the classroom. And I mean, you already got your NSIC first place medal. What are some more goals that you might have down the line in the future, both in and out of the classroom?
Well, in the classroom, I basically just learned you need to talk to people. That's one of the biggest things with business administration, from especially my two current professors and teachers. That's one of the things, is just being effective communicator. If you could boil down pretty much all the business classes, that would probably be like the number one for like the generic ones, not like obviously finance or economics, but being able to talk to someone is probably your best bet in that kind of stuff. For like academic goals, I want to try to get all A's this year. I gotten pretty close last year. I got 1 A and 3 B's. So I want to get that GPA up a little bit, so I don't have to worry quite as much when I come back around. It's like I can do that. I did it last year.
Yep. Yeah, definitely some motivation behind that there. But we're almost pretty much out of time here. But anything else you'd like to mention before we send it off here?
Just that when it comes outdoor, I'm hoping shot put is not the only one again. I'm hoping I throw discus too. So
Discus as well.
I'm hoping to get another. I'm hoping to qualify for nationals with that one, because that's my preferred event. But yeah, I'm hoping to make it by the end of the year 3 conference champions.
Hey, and keep showing that medal off, baby. I love it, man. Yeah, but yeah, that's gonna do it for us here, folks. Chase, thank you for making some time today and being on the Inside the Dam podcast.
Thank you for having me on, Cole.
Yes, like I said, folks, that is gonna do it for us. Again, you just heard Chase Snyder after becoming NSIC champion in the shot put for the track and field squad. And that is going to do it overall here for episode 13. We want to thank all 3 of our guests: head coach of the women's hockey team, Ryan Miner; the men's hockey head coach, Wyatt Waselenchuk; and of course, you just heard Chase Snyder, NSIC champion with the track and field squad. A quick note: we want to wish a congrats to the Central Cass Squirrels on winning the State B Girls Basketball Championship this past weekend. Of course, MSU hosting all of the basketball tournaments going on currently, even with the Region 6 boys basketball tournament going on as we speak. I want to wish all the squads a good luck in their postseason races, and yeah, certainly also hope you enjoy your time on campus. And also congrats to the Minot High Majets hockey team for claiming 3rd place at last weekend's state hockey tournament, also going on here in Minot, North Dakota. Before we end it off here, folks, want to remind you Papa John's is the sponsor of Inside the Dam. They have an MSU special. You can get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99 if you show a valid MSU ID. As always, we want to thank Admir and Papa John's for sponsoring the Inside the Dam podcast. That's it for me. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Take care as always. We won't have a show next week due to spring break, so be sure to stay tuned on all forms of social media. Be sure to follow KMSU TV and radio on all the major platforms. That's going to do it, and hope you guys have a good rest of your night.